I want this injury spotlight brought to you by OSMI to be update. Give me an update on Tyron, Zach, and Biotis in regards to their status this week.
Well, I respect that that's your biggest takeaway from Sunday, and it should be because, I mean, yeah, there are red zone issues that need to be resolved, but in Arizona, a lot of the red zone issues and the lack of explosiveness, went to the fact that you had two Hall of Famers out and a Pro Bowler in Tyler Biadasz, so that's 17 combined Pro Bowls. But injury report based on yesterday, let's go ahead and get out the way that CeeDee Lamb and DeMarcus Lawrence, neither of them practiced because it was a veteran rest day. Now moving on to the offensive line, Chuma Edoga practiced in a limited capacity. Obviously, he played on Sunday. I was told there's no setback. They're just kind of still working him through that hyperextended elbow that he suffered against the Jets. Tyron Smith did not practice. He was going to be on the injury report anyway with the knee issue that popped up last Saturday that ultimately started this train of events that was very, very weird in real time as far as he was not listed as inactive. He was named the offensive team captain, and then it wasn't until warm-ups when they basically said, we're going to sit you down. So I looked to my left and I looked to my right, and I told Nick Harris and I told Nick Beekman, I was like, today's not going to go well because it's already starting off weird, and then it just got more and more weird from there. So Tyron Smith, he did not practice with a knee injury. I was told that it was partly because it was a veteran rest day, probably for him as well. So even if he could have practiced yesterday in a limited capacity, he probably would not have. But best case, he would have been in the rehab group with Zach Martin and Tyler Biadasz, who also did not practice yesterday with the ankle and the hamstring, respectively. So Stephen Jones told 105.3 FM The Fan a few days ago that it is quite possible that the Cowboys will have finally their full onslaught of offensive linemen against the New England Patriots. But we have to see how this week goes because we've seen how this season has gone when it comes to Cowboys offensive line injuries, the way they're treating the injuries. They're being hyper cautious about it. Tyler Smith missed 2 games with a hamstring strain. So let's see what today brings. And today being Thursday, the scariest day of the week now in Frisco. So everybody cross your fingers, cross your toes, cross your eyes, say your Hail Marys, and let's hope for some good news out of Frisco today for the injury report, but most certainly no more bad Thursday news.
Hey, I kind of want to touch back. I hate to go back on this, but I want to, if you could walk us through that Tyron thing. That was weird, man, because it didn't pop up till Saturday, like you said, and that slipped my mind that he was named a captain. And then all of a sudden, he's not playing. So in real time, how was all of this coming down, and how did it affect what they were going to do at the left tackle spot? Because for me, I thought, Tyler could have been a guy they put out there, but I get it's his first game back. And by the way, fantastic game. But it just was, like you said, really weird how all that went down. What was it like down there on the sideline when that was happening?
It was all happening in real time, still to the point where, we're up in the press box and I get the inactives and I'm like, okay, Tyron's active. I saw him doing his going through a pregame workout. That's when I tweeted that I didn't see Tyler Biadasz or Zach Martin doing a pregame workout, and I said that's quite telling. And then the inactives come out. Tyron Smith is active. Okay, here we go. The captains come out. Tyron Smith is an offensive captain. All right. So we're probably without Tyler Biadasz and Zach Martin. Weird that we're without Zach Martin when Zach has said that he's good, but like I said, team is playing it hyper cautious with these offensive line injuries. But then I get a text message from the sidelines that say they're still, and the text message said they're still trying to decide on 7-7. What? So then I head down to the sideline because let me get in this fire. Then let me figure out what's going on down here. So then I don't see Tyron. He's left the field. Here comes the offensive lineman to work out. And you see Tyron then walk out, but he's not leading the charge, and he almost always leads the charge. So I'm like, well, that's also weird. So then they go over to the end zone and they start doing their offensive line drills. And I look at the setup, and the setup is Edoga at left tackle, Tyler Smith left guard, Brock Hoffman center, T.J. Bass at right guard, and Terrence Steele at right tackle. And behind them, with his helmet in his hand, not doing any drills whatsoever, is Tyron Smith. So then I look over and I asked one of the coaching staff, I said, so is that the decision made? And he nodded and he was like, yeah, that's the decision made. So this all happened in real time. So to answer your follow-up question, did it impact or how much did it impact what they did on Sunday? To a gargantuan level, no exaggeration, because the reason Tyler Smith was at left guard instead of left tackle was because, number one, injury crops up late on Tyron Smith on Saturday, but then they didn't actually rule him out until just under an hour before kickoff. So that means Tyler Smith had taken 100% of his practice reps, first practice back, first week back, I should say, at guard. So then they would have had to completely uproot him and change the scheme for this week. So Mike McCarthy said, no, let's just keep Tyler at left guard and let's just put Edoga at left tackle. Now, keep in mind, Edoga was brought in to flex, but he's been much, much better as left guard. That's why you're thinking the same thing I'm thinking. He kind of got exposed at left tackle in training camp, but that's the reason why they weren't flipped, because it was too late and McCarthy was wildly uncomfortable with that. But here's what led to the final thing, and I'm so glad. This is why I respect McCarthy. He admitted it. He said his backup offensive lineman didn't get enough reps in practice. That was because of late week injuries. But then he also said that he took some of the verticality plays out of the playbook and some of the creativity in the red zone out of the playbook because he was apprehensive. His words were he overreacted by the fact that he had 3 starting offensive linemen out. So I can't stress enough how weird that whole sequence was, nor can I stress enough how big of an impact it had on what the Cowboys wanted to do and were not able to do against the Cardinals.
That is the Injury Spotlight presented by OSMI. OSMI provides arthroscopic and robotic-assisted orthopedic surgery, foot and ankle surgery, sports medicine, physical therapy, and a ton more. Their team of orthopedic specialists have offices in Fort Worth, Decatur, and Mansfield to provide state-of-the-art orthopedic care to the North Texas area. When it comes to medical care, you and your loved ones deserve the best possible experience. So schedule your hassle-free appointment today at osmifw.com.